Welcome to the Jaybe show on Revolutionary Blackout Network. I am your host, James Fauntleroy. So good to see all of you here on this beautiful Sunday afternoon. Once again, the JB show is every single Sunday at 1 p.m. And you can also find me on the Savvy and JB show on Thursdays. If you have not already, please make sure to give a like to the stream. That pushes us out into the algorithm. Thank you so very much to all of you that are joining me this afternoon. And it is deeply appreciated. Now, if you guys have not already, we also do fundraisers for our graphics designer. If you would like to contribute, you guys can go to Venmo at Revolutionary Blackout or Cash App $Mutual Aid Forever, because we love the kiddies there. So thank you so very much for that as well. In addition to, and furthermore, if you guys would like to, you guys can also go to our Substack at revolutionaryblackout.substack.com. That is in the ticker as well. And also, if you guys would like to, you guys can also go to info@redblacknetwork.com for any inquiries or sending us any stories that you may find interesting or have any questions that you guys may have. You guys can also do that. And then you guys can also go to our website at revolutionaryblackoutnetwork.com as well. So thank you so very much to everybody for joining in this day. If you guys have not already noticed, I haven't been live in a couple weeks because of my housing situation, more focus on that. So if you guys have been like, where's JB? Where's JB? I haven't seen him. It's because of the housing situation that I am in right now. If you guys haven't noticed, or if you guys don't know, one of the things that's going on with me is my landlords are literally selling the place where I live. So they're basically they gave me 60 days to leave. So by May 31st, I have to be out of here. Where we're going to go, we don't know. We're still trying to figure that out. We're still looking for places as we speak. It is deeply stressful. I'm being real with you. It's unfair what we're going through, and that's the capitalist system that it is that your housing is commodified, and then people will take that housing and do with it what they will, the housing that they don't even live in. And so is it fair? No. But we will, we'll be okay, and we're looking for that. If anybody wants to contribute or help with moving expenses, then that's great. I know CJ have put out a fundraiser for that on GoFundMe. If you guys would like to, you guys can contribute to that. That helps out a lot too. Or if you guys would like to, give directly to me, then you guys, I have my, my PayPal and then my Cash App and things like that. You guys, if you guys would like to, get that, just let me know. But I appreciate all of the help whatsoever. So thank you very much for that. So with that being said, we're going to get into this. We're going to say hello to the people that's in the chat. And we want to say my hellos, my salutations to all my peeps that are watching today. So we're going to start off with Golden Monarch. It says, good morning all. Good day to you, Golden Monarch. Nice to have you joining on this beautiful Sunday. I almost said morning, but it's afternoon. All right. The truth says, since the beginning, this Palestine-Hamas war was all about Iran against Israel, and all clueless pro-Palestine Hamas supporters were deceived badly. What are you talking about? The truth says Palestine-Hamas Iran regime is the only malevolent imposter deceiver in this war, in the appalling United Nations USA at all Iran attack. Hold up. I'm sorry, but this all started way back in 1948 when the Zionists decided to take land that didn't belong to them. So you might want to change your name there or something, because that's ultimately what it started off with. And a lot of what's going on right now is people trying to prevent genocide from an occupying force that is literally killed over probably close to 40,000 people, maybe not, if not more, in cold blood. So that's what is going on right now. And so, and by the way, this isn't a war, right? A war would denote two opposing sides that have kind of equality in power. No, you have one of the most largest nuclear powered military forces in the world against a little paramilitary force that is resisting them. That is not equal. It is not a war. It is a genocide. First of all, if we're going to come, we're going to come correct. Okay. Number one. Number two, the people who are resisting occupation, number one, it's not just Hamas. There's like 17 other different factions that are also resisting the occupation, for the occupational force that is the Zionist state of Israel. So they're actually resisting them. And the question is, does an occupied people have the right to resist their occupiers? So if you're going to come into the chat, at least come correct with the facts instead of just spewing Zionist propaganda. I would encourage you to do that. And by the way, the United Nations actually had no right to give away land that wasn't theirs. Britain had no right to give away land that wasn't theirs. Because ultimately, the people that were occupying the land for this entire time, that's actually their land. It wasn't for somebody to give away. And they knew that they were going to be Balfour, Herzl, all of them. They knew that they would be taking land that didn't belong to them. That's the thing. They knew it. And yet they deceived you into thinking that it was never theirs, even though they were there for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. But welcome. Welcome to the chat. King Dante says, Baby Umar, what's up? No, you did not. No, you did not. Baby Umar. I don't look like Umar. Please don't tell me I look like that, man. Don't you do me like that. King, come on now. Let's be real. No, I don't want that. Trauma Queen, good to see you. All hearts and love, King Dante says. Baby, what with the Baby Umar? Why are you telling me about your financial hardship and not the triumph? What do you mean not the triumph? Got to talk about the hardship before you can talk about the triumph, right? All right, we have VH Sandwich. It says the truth, maybe an opposite land. Roger Meadows is in the chat saying how all these resistance groups, Jaybe, yet the only ones getting killed are the ones that are not a part of the resistance group. Right? And by the way, the story that I'm about to talk to you about black men is actually intersecting with what's going on in Palestine. So here's my thing. And thank you very much for putting this in my head, Roger. If you're not black, you need to stay for this. You need to stay for this story. If you are for Palestinian resistance, you need to stay for these stories because it's all connected. I want you to stay for these stories. Why? Because what we go through as black people is connected with what's going on in Palestine. That's right. It's connected. What's going on with us is connected to Palestine, what's connected to Congo, what's connected to Haiti. Baby, it's all connected. So when you say, oh, well, I don't have anything to do with what's going on in Palestine because I'm a black person, wrong. It's all connected. I'm going to tell y'all how. But the thing is, it's like we're in danger. They're in danger. We all in danger. And this is why we need to talk about this. All right. What else? Derek coming in saying that's dirty. What's dirty? I don't know. Back from the road says protracted people's struggle is a war. There's both a war, occupation versus resistance, and a genocide, occupation versus civilian in Gaza. The resistance is winning as well. Thank you so very much for that. Roger says you like Umar, and Umar looks like Mr. T. They're calling me baby Umar in the comments. I don't know, Nintendo, but okay. Serena Sawyer says, greetings from Trinidad, Colorado, comrades. Just moved a month ago and now getting the opportunity to catch y'all live in months. We're living in historic times. Yes, we are living in historic times. Thank you so very much. Royal coming in saying, TDJ's M King, tell us about triumph and prosperity. I would have been swallowed up. Sorry, couldn't resist. All right. Mayamtur says, remember when Reverend Warnock was all about Palestinian resistance and linking it to Black struggle, and then he turned on a dime as soon as he got elected and the money started flowing. Ooh. Yup. Lord. They love to talk about the resistance until it's inconvenience. All right. John H., good to see you in the chat as well. We got Randy Bray coming in saying love, fire, and waves. That's what we like to see here. Let's check on the Rock Finch to see who's coming in and who's saying hello. Oh, baby. We got a couple of people. Let me make sure I get this right. Yep. All right, Jaybe. The tea is working. The tea is working in my system. All right. Let's share the screen real quick for the Rockfin peeps. That's right. And then we'll get into it. Says, what a clown. For one, Zionists stole land from Palestine, and two, Iran was attacked by Israel not long ago, and Iran responded appropriately. Israel has proxies too, like ISIS, for example, but they have others too. I stick around, but I gotta go soon. Good to have you in the chat, Drew Tex. Nice to see you up in here. All right. We got Hob coming in saying, good morning, Sunday morning. Well, if it's Sunday morning for you, I hope it's easy like Sunday morning. Okay. Beyond I have my tea with honey. But yeah. So, what are we talking about today? Talk about people that look like me. And Umar too, I guess. The endangered Black man. These three are just some of the latest victims of this system. We're going to talk about it. Why are they on the thumbnail? If you guys haven't noticed, RBN's Black. We're very Black. And as far as identities are concerned, of course, you have Sabby Sabs, the queen of RBN. She's a Black woman. But the rest of us drones, to coin a beekeeper phrase, we're Black men. Myself, Rome, CJ, and Nick, we're all Black men. Why did we feel a need? Why did all of us feel a need to start this network in the first place? If we felt represented, we wouldn't have started RBN in the first place. I'm just being real. And we're tired of We're tired of a lot of the coonery. And by coonery, I'm talking about the coonery of the conservative side and the liberal side. Because the conservatives will tell you everything you want to hear if you have white supremacist proclivities. They will tell you everything that tickles your ear to say, well, black people they just need to get themselves together. They just don't have it right. Look at Chicago and 13% of the population, but commit 50% of the crimes and all this and that. You have the Candace Owens and oh my God, what's his name? I'm blanking on his name right now. But he's a professor. But anywho, you have people like that constantly say, well, we just got to get out of our own way. We got to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps, right? That's what we're constantly told. Then you have the liberal side. Oh, no. We talking to you liberals too. Because you have the liberal side that will constantly tell us that we don't know exactly what we're doing, right? Or you'll have liberals that they'll say they're with us, but when push comes to shove, when we actually want our material conditions to be met so that we can actually have something better, then that's when they go, oh, well, you just got to lift yourself up by your bootstraps too. But they'll say it in a more nicer way. And then what they'll do is that they'll paint a street corner with Black Lives Matter, right? Or they'll kneel in kente cloth saying, we're with ya. And then when we actually need them to be with us, when it comes to the tangibles, when it comes to greasing these palms that have built this country, maybe different circumstance. Just wait. And we're constantly being told this as a people. So you have the liberal side and you have the conservative side. Basically standing in the way. One telling us it's our own damn fault, and the other ones telling us it's our own damn fault in a nicer way. But then they'll say that they're with us, but then when it comes to actually being with us, there's no solidarity there. So, with that being said, this is an issue that I see happening within this country. And then you'll have the conservatives that try to make laws that will basically put us back in chains, but they'll do it blatantly. You'll have liberals that will create laws that say they are for helping us, but then essentially it does put us back in chains anyway. And then they'll make excuses for people like Joe Biden and his crime bill. So, yeah. One of the things that I wanted to bring up is that there are three different men where the elements of this system have made them victims. And every single time we black men look up, we're seeing people that look up like us. We're being gunned down. Or if we're not being gunned down, we're being suffocated. We're not being suffocated. We're being maimed, broken. bruised. And we're going to talk about what is happening. We're going to talk about why it's happening. And I'm going to tell you where conservatives and the liberals get it wrong each and every time. Part of it is because they don't listen to us, because this is not in their interest to do so. So we're going to talk about our first person. We're going to talk about Kenneth Knots. Kenneth Knots was undergoing a mental health evaluation. Let's take a look at the article here first, and then we'll take a look at the video. By the way, some of the video that I will be sharing will be somewhat disturbing. I'm not going to show the entire video, the most disturbing parts, due to the YouTube guidelines, but I will be showing parts of it, right? And so just to let you guys know, viewer discretion will be advised in this stream. But I'm just going to share the article really quick first. And I just want you guys to get a scope of what we're going to be seeing first. So Kenneth Knots, this is from Dallas, Texas, says a man died in police custody at the Texas hospital in 2022 after yelling, "I can't breathe," and screaming for a drink of water. Newly released body camera footage appears to show. In the video, Kenneth Knots, 41, of Dallas, is seen handcuffed on the bed at the University of Texas Southwestern Medical Center. He is then placed in face down on the bed by at least 3 officers. Knots, who is undergoing mental health evaluation, yells and struggles before becoming still. Minutes later, one of the medic professionals in the room says, "Flip him over," before saying, "No pulse, no pulse." A medical team starts compressions, but they were unable to revive him, and he was pronounced dead, according to a complaint. Says an autopsy report from the Dallas County Medical Examiner lists Knott's manner of death as a homicide. The report noted that he had a sudden cardiac arrest associated with physical restraint in a semi-prone position. So a lot of times we're told we're restrained and we're not believed simply because of who we are. If somebody's going through a mental health evaluation, why are they in handcuffs? We'll get into that in a second. So I'm going to share the video. Because it was caught on cam. Let's take a look. This is Kenneth Knots.
Hey, hold on there. Let's put a single pair on it. Sit up.
Oh my God.
He's taking the cuffs off.
I want water.
Quit. Sit down.
I need water.
You just got some.
That isn't enough.
Hey.
Don't do it. Stop. Let go of my hand. Let go.
Let go of her hand.
I need water.
Kenneth, you gotta relax a little bit. We can't give you anything until you're
Go behind you.
Hey,
Go on the floor. Kenneth, stop.
Stop.
Justin, you ain't going.
Kenneth, stop.
Flip him over.
I'm going to stop there because then you start seeing them do chest compressions. because he stopped breathing. There's a point in the video where you actually hear him say, "I can't breathe." Mind you, he's supposed to be just getting a mental evaluation. This speaks to two issues. Number one, how we treat mental health in this country. Number two, how we do not believe Black people, or we see them as a danger simply because of our skin color. Let's go back to the article. It says he added that Knots should have been placed in a recovery position or on his side, which he said would have not impacted Knots' ability to breathe. Says Henley said Knots leaves behind 4 children, including a 2-year-old, a 4-year-old, as well as a 9-year-old and a 12-year-old. He said he filed a lawsuit against the University of Texas Southwestern Medical Center Police Department about 6 months ago on behalf of Knots' loved ones. The complaint noted officers with the Hutchins Police Department took Knots into custody because he was having some kind of mental crisis and was brought him to the University of Texas Southwestern Medical Center for treatment shortly after 8 a.m. on November 29th, 2022. So, some kind of mental crisis. Why are we sending police for a mental health case? Now, if you want to send somebody along, to make sure that that person is protected, okay. But why are police doing the job of a psychiatrist, psychologist? Why are they doing the job of a social worker, somebody that is equipped to handle people with mental health issues? Why are we using police for that capacity? It seems like every single time somebody's having a mental health issue and the police are involved, that person winds up dead. Why? Do not send a hammer in to do a screwdriver's job. When all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And every single time when you have police, they're going to assume that person's erratic behavior is because of drugs or they're just inherently violent. When in reality, that is not the case. It didn't take bullets to kill the man. All they did was suffocate him. I can't breathe. Let's continue with this, and then we'll move on to the next case. It says around 11 a.m., officers with the medical center responded to some kind of disturbance, and Knots ran from the facility, according to the complaint. Document shows that he was taken back to the hospital where he later died. It says Henley said Knots was wheeled on a gurney when he was returned to the hospital. He was then placed in a room and sat on a bed, his arms cuffed behind him. He's fully restrained, adding that Knots complains he's thirsty, but no one gets him a drink. Footage shows Knots walks to the sink, puts his head under the faucet, and drinks water from the pipe. An officer asks if he's had enough, and he says no before drinking more water. He then appears to squat before the officers grab him and walk him back to the bed. Mind you, he's restrained this entire time. He sits on the bed as the officers appear to add another set of handcuffs. Another set of handcuffs? Why are they adding another set of handcuffs to an already restrained man that does not have any weapons and is not a danger to anybody? Mind you, this all came out in 2022. But some of the video I'm just now seeing, and a lot of people are just now seeing. Says Henley said Knots' chest was being pressed against the bed and his stomach was lodged into the corner of the bed, preventing him from breathing. His breathing was being restricted, adding that the handcuffs were restricting the sides of his ribs. At one point, he utters he can't breathe. According to the complaint, the officers willfully and maliciously used excessive force to restrain Knots and caused his death. One of the things I think we need to talk about is mental health when it comes to how we're treated in this country. A few variables that are compounded. Number one, people with mental health automatically are treated horribly in this country. Okay. Number two, Black people with mental health are treated even worse. Let's just be real. Let's call a thing a thing. Some people may not want to acknowledge it, but it's true. If you're Black and with mental health issues, you're treated even worse than if you're white with mental health issues. Now, if you're white with mental health issues, you're treated badly, but you're not treated as badly as Black people. It's just how it is. Why? Because we live in a white supremacist system that gives more credence and more grace to people of a lighter hue than it does to people of us who are more melanin abundant. So this is why people like myself and everybody here at RBN, we advocate for a nationalized healthcare system. Because if we had a nationalized healthcare system, then the people who have mental health issues would be able to get the healthcare that they need. And maybe, just maybe, a lot of these issues would actually go down. But because we have to paywall healthcare, so many of us, day in and day out, are left by the wayside. And then when we have an episode, who comes knocking at the door? Who comes knocking at the door and then busts that door down eventually? It's people with badges and guns. And to them, they're not trained, nor do they care if you have a mental health episode. What they're going to do is they're going to use the hammer, because when all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. Now, we're going to be going to the next one. So I think this is also important. This also has to do with mental health as well. So we're going to talk about Donald Armstrong, another Black man. Make sure, yeah. So let me share my screen really quick. We'll look at the article a little bit, and then we'll get into the video. This happened in Miami. So community leaders, residents hold press conference following Miami police shooting. So there's a police officer involved shooting in Miami that seriously injured the man who suffers from mental illness. Now, he's still alive, but he's not good. Says the group is calling for support for a non-police community-based crisis response program following the shooting of 47-year-old Donald Armstrong. Armstrong was taken to Jackson Memorial Hospital in serious condition following the March 7th shooting. Says he's under critical condition, and his mom has been hospitalized for stress. Says Officer Kira Delva, a Miami police spokesperson, confirmed that the police responded to a home near the 5700 block of Northwest 7th Court that day after receiving a call about a person who's possibly high on narcotics causing a disturbance. Upon arrival, Delva said officers encountered Armstrong, described as an aggressive subject who was armed with a sharp object and refused to comply with officers' commands. Online records show Armstrong has served time in state prison on charges including burglary. Okay, we don't need to know all that. Because here's the thing. He should have been, especially if he served time, that doesn't give them right to use the force that they did. Just before 3 p.m. that day, cell phone video captured the moments when officers were met by 3 people on the front porch. One man wearing red pants and a white shirt and was seen carrying a long object in one hand, and he was tased a couple of times. The video shows Armstrong yelling, "Shoot me in the heart," and says, "I am God," before being hit the second time by a taser. After charging at officers, police said he refused to follow their commands and they were forced to shoot. But neighbors and the man's family are questioning the officer's decision to open fire. Armstrong's cousin said, "I don't think the police life was in danger at any time. My cousin has a mental problem. You know, you all need to check with somebody. I said this loud and clear, and they were like, get out of the way." And a message posted on social media says, "I pledge to ensure that our department," the police chief said, "I pledge to ensure that our department that's better in addressing calls involving mental and behavioral issues. I'm asking all of us to pray for Mr. Armstrong and his family during this difficult time." Empty words from Chief Manny Morales. Because you guys didn't do this before. You guys didn't try to implement this as much as you could before. And now somebody's life hangs in the balance. And now you guys want to do this? Says one woman with the crisis response program said they are an alternative to calling police when your loved ones are in pain. We are an alternative because we're trained with mental health professionals and come with love. This is purpose for us. We desire our loved one, to solve our own community problems because unfortunately everybody's not trained well to do so because they can't relate to our communities. So they tried to subdue him. And again, another mental health issue, right? Now, Ben Crump is pursuing this one. And so Ben Crump is a civil rights attorney. And he says Miami police shot and paralyzed Donald Armstrong, and now they're charging him with aggravated assault. So, of course, I'm not going to share the entire thing, but just to give you guys context, here we go. No. Shoot in the heart. Now he said to shoot him in the heart, and he said that he is God.
What happened?
Now, this is the point where they tried to tase him. And I would like to share more of the video, but I can't. But after he takes that taser prong out of him, right, and he's stumbling, police open fire. They open fire on him after he stumbles. Of course, I can't share it because guidelines, but they shot him up. Mental health episode. How many people serve time in our prison system but they had a mental health episode and nobody ever got them checked because they can't afford to do it? Let's continue. Because it's just, we're constantly being told that just comply. It's kind of hard when you're having a mental health episode. Let me enlarge this really quick and read further here for you guys. Here's further commentary from Ben Crump. He said, Armstrong lifts his shirt to show that he's not carrying a firearm. Then Miami PD tases him twice, causing him to fall forward. At this point, the police shoot at him at least 9 times, paralyzing him during a mental health episode. Now, one gentleman says he's cooperating. They shoot him. He staggers, and his staggering in pain scares them. Now, my question is, if he's having a mental health episode, why isn't there anybody to assist him to help with the mental health episode? I have a theory. You guys want to hear it? Number one, they don't care about your mental health. Number two, if they don't do anything in regards to trying to help people with mental health episodes in the police department, they can use plausible deniability and say, well, we didn't know you was having a mental health episode. And that gives them either the way to either end the life of that person or put that person in jail and in turn put that person in prison so they can serve in legal chattel slavery. Because slavery is still legal here in the United States. It was never abolished. There's always a reason why they constantly are trying to. There's always a reason why they're trying to keep us in the state that we're in. Because they need that chattel slavery to continue. Because that's the way the system operates. Now, some people would say, "Oh, that's BS," but look at the amendment itself, the 13th Amendment. Now, let's go to Dexter Reed. This is going to be the most disturbing one. I think I'm going to do the video first for Dexter Reed. Now, again, I cannot share the entire video for you guys. But the Dexter Reed case, it is probably the worst case. So let me share. So, in fact, I think there was a video. Oh, I think I missed that one. Sorry. I want to set this up properly because the way the cops went about it was nefarious, right? And some people, you have a lot of people, particularly some black people, are coming out of the woodwork to basically do to Dexter Reed what they did to George Floyd. And they're trying to paint him as some bad apple that the police got him and it was deserved and all that. When in reality, Dexter Reed shouldn't have died either. Okay. So I'm going to show you guys the actual neighborhood footage of what happened first, and then I'll share with you guys what happened after that. So let me share this as well. All right, so this is Street View. Now, this is in Chicago, right? So there's the street, and I'm going to share with you guys this. Okay, so if you guys can see, so it says right here, if you guys can't read it clear, it says Reed's SUV. So it's the second car right here on the far right. That is right there. That's Reed's SUV, right? So he's at a stop, right? And then he goes up. Now, it says right here, unmarked Chicago Police Department SUV pulling up on the side right here at the four-way stop, right? Now they come in, right? And then they pull around and then they stop right in front. They cut off Reed's SUV. So they came out of nowhere and stopped right there. And then they jump out of the car with guns drawn. Now that I set that up, now we're going to see exactly what happened. Because what happens afterwards will piss you off. Because it wasn't like they were behind him the entire time. It wasn't like they were, seeing him driving erratically and all that other crap. And then I'm going to tell you exactly what they said, why they stopped him. We're getting in some BS here that they do. Oh boy. All right. So because a lot of people are making excuses for the cops, especially some black people. And I say shame on y'all. All right. So So I'm going to share this. And I'm not going to share the entire thing because I'm going to have to describe the rest to you. But I think it's important for you guys to get context. So remember I said he was coming up, right? And as he was going, this unmarked Chicago police car with plainclothes officers comes up and they pass him and cut him off and stop him, right? Out of nowhere. Now, here's what happens at the stop.
Roll the windows down.
The window down, man.
Roll the window down.
Now, if somebody stops in front of you out of nowhere and comes out in just regular clothes and says, and they cut you off and they say, roll your window down, what are you going to do? Especially if you're in the hood. Hell no, I ain't roll my window down. For what?
What are you doing?
Roll this one down.
Roll that one down too.
Did they say Chicago PD? I didn't hear that. Chicago Police Department? I didn't hear any of that. Roll the window down. For what? They did not identify. So failure to identify by a police officer. They did not identify themselves.
Hey, don't roll the window up. Don't roll the window.
Wait. Why is she opening up the open door just like that?
Window up.
Okay.
Do not roll the window up.
Do not.
See that? Wait. Take a look. Boom. Wait. Boom. There you go. Already drawn. Why is it drawn? Why is that drawn already? Why are plainclothes police officers in an unmarked vehicle cutting him off, jump out the car with weapons already drawn for this? What did he do? Let's continue. I'm telling you. Everybody, and then all these coon ass black people coming and going, well, he was no angel. Boy, I'm telling you, man.
Unlock the doors now. Unlock the doors now. Unlock the doors now.
If you were in this situation, would you unlock the doors? Would you roll down your window?
Open the door now. Open the door now. Open the door now.
I had to stop there. "96 shots in 41 seconds. 96 shots in 41 seconds. Now, everybody's attacking Dexter Reed because he was armed. Okay. All right. Since it's funny because it's always our Second Amendment rights are super important until somebody looks like us uses our Second Amendment right. I said it before and I say it again. In this country, black people don't have Second Amendment rights. We don't. You want to know one of the most egregious forms of that shows that we don't have Second Amendment rights? Back in the day, the Second Amendment rights were fairly lax in California until the Black Panthers decided to walk around with their rifles and protecting their neighborhood, and went to the governor's, I think it was to the governor's mansion. And they weren't doing anything dangerous. They just were expressing their Second Amendment right. But that spooked the hell out of Governor Reagan. And so he implemented gun reform laws in California because Black people were armed. So we really don't have Second Amendment rights in this country as Black people. And then, especially when police are around, because we're always seen as automatically more dangerous. Let's get into the press conference. In fact, I'll do the press conference next after that. But let me get into this video first.
Chicago police firing 96 shots in 41 seconds at one man in a deadly traffic stop last month that killed 26-year-old Dexter Reed. Newly released body cam video shows what led to this all. Police say they pulled Reed over for not wearing a seatbelt. When officers approached his SUV, the situation quickly escalated. CNN's Omar led to this all. Police say they pulled Reed over for not wearing a seatbelt.
All that for not wearing a seatbelt. He got shot at 96 times in 41 seconds for not wearing a seatbelt. For not wearing a seatbelt. Since when is not wearing a seatbelt lethal? Wearing a seatbelt, not wearing a seatbelt is actually a victimless crime. Because how you not wearing a seatbelt actually harms you, harms others. It doesn't harm others. It's a danger to yourself, yes. But it's a victimless crime. Because you're not harming other people.
When officers approached his SUV, the situation quickly escalated. CNN's Omar Jimenez spoke exclusively to the family of Dexter Reed and has their reaction to seeing the body camera video that was just released a few hours ago.
What was your reaction to seeing that video?
It was terrifying.
For Dexter Reed's sister, his mother.
Oh, Lord Jesus, please help me.
And his entire family. What played out on newly released body camera video is nothing but pain.
They shot him down like an animal. Why did they shoot him them many times? He's already dead. Why you study shooting him like that? They killed my son and they killed me too.
March 21st, 2024. Chicago police are initiating a traffic stop on a driver reportedly for not wearing a seatbelt, according to the Civilian Office of Police Accountability. A traffic stop being conducted by 5 tactical officers.
Roll the
Why are tactical officers stopping somebody for failure to wear a seatbelt, why are the tactical officers in there? Right? This is a job for Barney Fife. Not some... It's not even a job for Barney Fife, to be honest with you. Barney Fife, who keeps one bullet inside of his front pocket and keeps his gun unloaded, that's the job. That's the job that Barney Fife should have been doing. Not these tactical police officers. And yet they're the ones doing a traffic stop?
Window down. What are you doing?
Roll this one down.
Roll that one down too. Hey, don't roll the window up. Don't roll the window up.
Okay.
Do not roll the window up. Unlock the doors now.
The temperature quickly escalates. One officer puts what appears to be his gun on the windshield. Reed then fires first, hitting an officer in the forearm, according to the initial investigation. Then, chaos.
I got to skip some of that because... And they keep shooting. They keep shooting.
In total, according to investigators. A gun was later recovered from the front seat of Reed's car. Portia Banks had just been on the phone with her brother in the minutes before it all happened. Then she turned on a police scanner at her shop.
I'm listening to the police talking, like saying shots fired, but I can hear all the shots on the scanner. Like I can hear so many shots, so many shots, so many shots. But didn't know that it was my brother. So then to know later on that night that them shots that I heard and then the ambulance going past my shop was my brother was the most heartbreaking thing that I could ever felt in my life.
One of the family's attorneys argues this never should have happened in the first place.
There was a weapon recovered in his car. However, it started with an unconstitutional, pretextual, and unnecessary stop of Dexter Reed. And that's what precipitated the entire incident.
And questions remain over why tactical officers initiated a traffic stop for a supposed seatbelt violation. As part of a brief statement, Chicago police says this incident is still under investigation, but the stop is where it all began.
If you don't stop my nephew, he'll be alive today.
Reed's uncle sitting alongside his father.
When this happened to my nephew, I hope the police can understand that this is the same pain that they feel when an officer is killed in the line of duty.
It's a pain that manifests in memories and pain that manifests in despair.
They took my son away from me. He ain't got that no more. I don't know what I'm gonna do without him. And I just wish that I could talk to him one more time. But to see him gunned down, I never ever thought that it'd be him. I never thought that it would be him. I never thought that it would be him.
And this happens so often in this country. Mind you, the same people who gun people that look like me down many times per year are the same people that are trained by the IDF that are massacring Palestinians in their own land. So when people say this has nothing to do with us, what's going on in Palestine, they're literally training our police forces here. So police are treating us like the IDF treats Palestinians in Palestine. This is how it's connected. They're literally training our police how they treat Palestinians is how we're being treated here in this country. This is why Black people need to wake up. This is why we need to see why there's so many of our leaders. By leaders, I mean the people who were revolutionaries in the past, why they had such solidarity with Palestinians. Because we know how Palestinians feel. Because essentially we are being occupied by a military force, whether it's the EDF or U.S. law enforcement, that are constantly having a foot on our necks. Let's continue.
And just to hear the amount of gunshots in that video is difficult for anyone to hear, much less the family, which is a lot of what we talked about there. Obviously, from the inside, it is a pain that a family is dealing with. From the outside, initial investigation does show that Dexter Reed did fire first. And so the response from police in the initial stages is less of what's in question here. It's more about why this stop happened and why the amount of shots continued in the way that they did, Jake.
My question is, and a lot of people are like, well, he shot first. It's funny how when a police officer says, I fear for my life, it is always accepted that that police officer discharges their firearm when they fear for their lives. But when a civilian, particularly a Black civilian, discharges their weapon out of fear for their lives, we're never given that same grace. We're never given that same deference. Dexter Reed feared for his life. Of course he shot first. Because when you have a bunch of people surrounding your car with their guns drawn and they're not identifying themselves as police officers, then what the hell do you do? If you're just chilling and riding in your car, and I thought that we were supposed to be able to express our Second Amendment rights in this country. I mean, I thought. And then you get stopped on the street by an unmarked car with plain clothes, tactical police officers. And you're like, oh my God, I can't believe you shot first. The hell is wrong with you? What in the world are you smoking? You mean to tell me you wouldn't try to protect yourself too? Ain't no way. Ain't no way. Now, they speak to somebody who's part of a board who talks about how the police need to be investigated and all this and that, and how they need to gauge whether the police acted with excessive force or not. That question has a very obvious answer. Of course they did. But I want to hear more from the family first, because I think that's important as well. Here they are in a press conference with the lawyers, and let's hear what the family has to say.
My name is Andrew M. Stroth. I'm a civil rights attorney, managing director of Action Injury Law Group, which is a national civil rights law firm headquartered in Chicago. Honored to be here with my co-counsel partner, Stephen Hart, from Hart, McLaughlin, and Eldridge, my other co-counsel partner, Sheila Betty from Northwestern University School of Law, and the
Hold up. Let me address something real quick, because we got somebody who's hang on. Let me address something real quick. Ant Farm Diary says you twist the facts, but he's a thug. First of all, thugs are people that roll up on you without identifying themselves, and they pull their guns drawn onto you, and then they tell you to get out of the car without telling you that they're actually police officers. And then they stop you for a seatbelt violation. And then the moment you try to protect yourself in this country, which is a Second Amendment right, then they want to shoot at your car 96 times in 41 seconds. You want to talk about thugs? Talk about that type of thug. Don't come in here with all that BS. Because the thing is that ultimately we're constantly being painted as that, which is deeply racist. The fact that you're actually on a black network calling a black man a thug like that, who in the hell do you think you are? You're calling a black man a thug without actually knowing who he is and who he was? And you're taking the side of the military occupational force known as the police in this country? Are you actually serious right now? Ant Farm Diary. Be real. Hell yeah, it's a communist network. And guess what? Do you actually think that we're going to side with an occupational force that actually protects property over people? Do you honestly think that we're going to side with the people who protect private property over the lives of people? Boo-boo, you might need to read a little bit more theory here. You may need to talk to some of us who are black and communists here, because we're not going to side with the people who protect property over the lives of people. You know what? Not worth my time. But you really start listening to those of us who are literally part of that are being oppressed by this system. Even more so than other groups. See, here's the thing, and this is one of the things that gets on my nerves, and I'm gonna say it. Some of you white leftists, and I'm not talking about all of you, but some of you white leftists will sit there, and the moment we talk about our oppression, then you want to say, oh, well, it's just class, it's nothing else. No, it is race and class. It is identity and class. Bump what you heard. I'm trying not to cuss. But some of y'all will discount our oppression simply because you want to say that it's identity politics. Meanwhile, we're literally dying in these streets. Tell me you ain't got solidarity without telling me you ain't got solidarity. I'm sick and tired of it. I'm sick and tired of some people who come in here talking about, oh, I'm a communist. And then next thing you know, when we people who have different identities talking about being marginalized as different identities, then y'all want to discount us? No. Get your head out of your ass and start actually listening to us. Because that's what some of y'all problem. Some of y'all don't actually have solidarity with us. You just want communism for white folks. That's some of y'all problems. And then the white people who are glad hand about it, you guys want to go and team up with them. But the moment we talk about our issues, oh, you guys don't even want to come. Look, I got 89 people watching. This is not a sexy subject. And a lot of people don't want to hear about it because I'm not talking about something that's relevant to them, when in reality, it is relevant to all you white people, because if they're going to do it to us, they're going to do it to you. We are the canary in the coal mines. We were the chattel. Guess what? Now white people are being put in prison. And guess what? They're working as slaves in the prison industrial complex as what? Shadow. Because y'all don't want to listen to us. We are the canaries in the coal mine. We were the unpaid labor that they put us into chains. And now guess what they're doing? Now they're doing it to y'all too. And if you really want to get out of this capitalist system, you're going to have to also listen to the marginalized people that are going through what we're going through right now. And I am sick and tired of some people constantly going, oh my God, it's identity politics. Guess what? Class is an identity too. You know, my damn nerves. Constantly discounting the lives of Black people. Anywho, let's get back to the family because I want to hear from them.
The Community Civil Rights Clinic. We're also here, you can see behind me, the family and extended family of Dexter Reed. We have Nicole Banks, his mother, Portia Banks, Dexter's sister, Dexter's father, Dexter Banks Sr., other uncle, Roosevelt Banks, and other family and friends. Let's take a minute and talk about who Dexter Reed was. 26 years old, played basketball at Westinghouse, led the team to a regional championship. Dexter later became a student athlete at Morton College, where he obtained his associate's degree. His friends and family affectionately called him Buki. Dexter enjoyed playing hoops. He enjoyed healthy eating. He enjoyed cooking. He loved spending time at his sister Portia's shop. Dexter's goal was to be a broadcaster. So let's talk about why we're here today and why Mayor Johnson and State's Attorney Kim Foxx and Chief of COPA just gave their press conference. We're here today because on March 21st, something really tragic happened in the city of Chicago. What we witnessed on the video that we watched with the family yesterday was tactical officers, plain clothes, unmarked SUV, wearing hoodies and baseball caps, pulling over Dexter for not wearing a seatbelt. These officers never announced they were police officers. And then what we witnessed, Dexter got out of his car, unarmed, and was shot by the police. Based on the COPA report that you all received this morning, 96 rounds were fired by these officers. So let's say that again. 96 rounds were fired by these tactical officers. And what also happened is if you watch the end of the video, you see an officer military style executing Dexter while he laid by his vehicle, unarmed and helpless. Last Friday at the funeral, this family said their last goodbyes to Dexter. Now that this family has watched the video and seen the evidence, we are demanding action. We also believe that Mayor Brandon Johnson is committed to change. We believe that under his leadership, Chicago can change. He spoke with the family on Saturday afternoon. He committed to a full and transparent investigation. So where do we go next? We're asking the Johnson administration to commit to the consent decree. Sheila Betty and her team, Craig Futterman and his team have worked tirelessly to advance the consent decree, and there's been a total lack of compliance. We're specifically asking the mayor and Police Chief Snelling to disband these tactical units that have been terrorizing communities, folks in communities on the west and south sides. We're also asking that Superintendent Snelling strip the officers involved with this fatal and unjustified shooting. We're asking Chief Kirsten from COPA to continue her investigation. We're also asking, if you watch the objective video evidence, that State's Attorney Kim Foxx move swiftly to get justice for this family in what we think there should be a criminal indictment against some of these officers.
it is very clear of what we go through. We've been going through this for ever since we were stolen and brought to this nation. And it feels like they're always trying to put us back generally in chains, but yeah, that's what it feels like. Let me go to this as well, because there's an article that I found that also raises eyebrows in regards to what happened to Dexter Reed. And I want to share this with y'all too. And sorry for going off, but my thing is, like, I feel very strongly about this in regards to how we're treated in this country. And I think it's important that we start to look at things from a perspective of the marginalized, because a lot of times we don't regard the marginalized as much as I think we should. The South Chicago Sun-Times says watchdog chief questions whether Chicago cops lied about why they stopped Dexter Reed before killing him in an exchange of gunfire. So it says the head of Chicago's Civilian Office of Police Accountability has questioned whether a group of cops lied about why they stopped a driver in Humboldt Park last month, setting off a gun battle that wounded one of the officers and killed the motorist. And a letter to Chicago Police Department, Larry Snelling, COPA Chief Administrator Andrea Kirsten also raised grave concerns about the officer's ability to assess what is a necessary, reasonable, and proportional use of deadly force. The letter was sent last week, days before COPA released video. It says showed the officers firing roughly 96 shots in just 41 seconds after the driver, Dexter Reed, shot one of them in the wrist during the March 21st traffic stop in Humboldt Park. It says 5 tactical officers from the Harrison District had approached Reed's GMC Terrain with heavily tinted windows, which was apparently parked in a crosswalk at the 3800 block of West Fernand Street. Body-worn camera footage released by COPA on Tuesday shows that Reed, who is 26 years old, resisted orders to roll down his car windows and open the door. The officer shouted at him. Reed opened fire and struck one of the officers in the hand. The 4 officers returned fire, with one of them shooting 3 times as Reed lay motionless on the ground. According to Kirsten's April 1st letter, that officer alone fired at least 50 times. One officer firing 50 times. Says in her letter, Kirsten urges Snelling to strip the 4 officers of their policing powers while raising serious alarms about their actions and their account of the deadly stop. COPA had initially been informed that Reed was stopped because of a seatbelt violation, but Kirsten noted the available evidence calls into question the veracity of this account. Specifically, COPA is uncertain how the officers could have seen the seatbelt violation given their location relative to Reed's vehicle in the dark tints on Reed's windows. This evidence raises serious concerns about the validity of the traffic stop that led to the officer's encounter with Reed. Kirsten also hammered on the high number of rounds fired by the 4 officers, 3 of whom reloaded. She insisted there were serious questions about the proportionality of their use of deadly force. So they kept shooting, because I'm like, how did they do 96 rounds if there was about, 3, 4 officers? How did they do 96 rounds that much? I mean, and in a standard issue police firearm is what, 10 rounds, right? So if you have 4 police officers, that's about give or take 40 rounds, right? But it was 96, meaning somebody kept reloading. That wasn't an officer-involved shooting. That was an execution. Okay. Thank you, veteran of Dissent says 15 to 17 rounds a mag. Okay. Thank you very much for that. Okay. Okay, so yeah, at least 15. Okay. Oh. So here's another piece that I think is important. Kirsten specifically highlighted the fact that all 4 officers continued to fire at Reed after he exited the vehicle and was unarmed, singling out the officer who fires 3 shots at Reed while he was already on the ground. I mean, if he's unarmed when he exits the vehicle, why are you still shooting? In a footnote to the letter, Kirsten noticed that COPA had another open investigation into a traffic stop involving the same officers less than a month earlier. That investigation also relates to an alleged seatbelt violation. Officers, after the video was released on Tuesday, Reed's family criticized police officers for approaching his car too aggressively, possibly scaring him into defending themselves. Roosevelt Banks, Reed's uncle, denounced the police for continuing to fire after Reed got out the SUV. He said that is nothing but them plain murder. Says body camera footage of the traffic stop shows officers hopping out of an unmarked vehicle and approaching Reed's SUV. Reed briefly rolls down the window, down as directed, then begins rolling it back up. Officer says, open the door now. Video from a home surveillance camera appears to show plumes of smoke coming from inside the SUV as gunshots are heard. An officer who was standing by the passenger side window was struck in the hand and is seen falling backwards. As officers fire their guns, some ducked and cover, began calling for help. Amid the gunfire, Reed is seen walking around the back of the SUV before he is apparently struck repeatedly and falls to the ground. Reed, who was unarmed by this time, is seen lying in the street as officers continue to fire the final shots. So this happens quite often. The Fraternal Order Police basically is saying that this agency that's doing the investigating, they do not like that they're doing the investigating. Let's just be real with you. And they're basically trying to make it sound like there's some witch hunt against the police. Let me share this as well. this is a comrade that wrote this article that talks about new crime bills in Louisiana reflect the U.S. sadistic approach to law and order, exploring the practice and history of continuation of slavery through prison labor. Now, this was from Katie Lewis. It says in early March, Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry signed multiple grievous crime bills. Exactly 11 of 22 recently introduced. These tough on crime bills include the reintroduction of death by electrocution and the elimination of parole for anyone convicted after August 1st of this year. Landry described this bill signing as a fulfilled promise to make Louisiana safe, parading the family of carjacking murderer Linda Frickley to shore up approval for these bills. All supporters of these bills insist on harsher crime sentences and the threat of no parole will serve as a proper deterrent to crime. Legislative opposition to these bills voiced concerns regarding the effectiveness of increasing the severity of punitive responses to crime. They, in fact, believe it will be incredibly ineffective, especially when leadership presents no means to addressing the root of crime, such as poverty-stricken schools and homelessness. Louisiana currently has its third largest prison population per capita, spends more money on law enforcement for its state's population than the next 40 states, and still struggles with an extremely high crime rate, second only to New Mexico. Though there are numerous factors that continue to contribute to crime, it is generally understood and accepted the deep correlation between poverty and crime. So this article is really good because it talks basically about how what we see going on is we're always being told that we need to be tougher on crime over and over. This causes the influx of more police. This also causes the influx of more police-involved shootings. And this, in turn, pushes for more people to be arrested. As you can see, more people being arrested for crimes of either just existing, because ultimately, like what, a seatbelt violation, that's just ludicrous. And then on top of it, also being crimes of desperation and crimes of opportunity, lack of opportunity, I should say. And so it's always an excuse to be able to scoop up those of us up and then place us in prison. So this is all part of one big feedback loop, right? The feedback loop being prison industrial complex, increasing money for policing, but then it's also we're constantly having to deal with poverty, which pushes us to commit crimes of desperation and commit crimes that are lack of opportunity. And then some of us that are committing these crimes, we're still, if we have a mental health episode or we're just riding around without our seatbelt, then, well, we also get caught in that feedback loop too. Either our lives being ended or we're being taken into prison or is taken in jail and then put into prison in order to be able to make these industries more money through the prison industrial complex. It's a feedback loop. And it's ultimately to serve capital, to serve the rich, to serve the corporate masters. So, unfortunately, it's disproportionate with those that are Black, especially Black men in this country. And we're constantly being told, well, if you guys just pull yourself up by your bootstraps, then you guys will have it better. Things will get better for you guys. But how can you pull yourself up by your bootstraps when your material conditions are kept are kept down so low that you have to commit crimes of desperation or lack of opportunity in order to survive. And then we're demonized left and right, being seen as someone dangerous just by the way we look. And so then you could be riding your car without a seatbelt on, you get shot up to death. Or you could have what somebody mistakenly thinks is a counterfeit $20 bill and get kneeled on for over 8 minutes, and you die of asphyxiation. That's what we're constantly being told. All we have to do is pull ourselves up by our bootstraps so that these things won't happen. This is why I say we are an endangered species. Not species, but we're endangered in this country. And then we're told that we are who we need to be, that the American people need to be in fear of us, when in reality, the people who are the most dangerous are the ones that are wearing $5,000 Italian suits that are meeting in boardrooms. Those are the ones that are actually most dangerous. The ones that are the most dangerous are the ones that are pushing us to sign up in the military and go and fight in wars abroad for resources just so that they can extract them for either cheap or free. The most dangerous people in this nation are the people that keep countries that are below our southern border destabilized so that they can get an influx of people coming in as undocumented immigrants so that they can be exploited, become scabs whenever we're trying to strike against these companies because they have to survive. And they're constantly being allowed in so that they can be taken advantage of by the corporations too. In reality, they're victims just like we are. And so then the people who are the most dangerous are also the ones that are giving weapons to Ukraine, to Israel. Most dangerous people are the ones that are causing the pollution of our water. Most dangerous people are the ones that are making it so that our civil liberties and our privacy is being taken away. And they will use the guise of bipartisanship to make it seem like, oh, we're actually coming together for your benefit, when in reality, it's never for our benefit. And so we're constantly being pitted against one another so that the people at the top who are the most dangerous can keep their hands in your pockets. This is why I think it's important that we pay attention to things like this. This is 10 Demands for Justice. This was co-authored by Nick of RBN. And so if you guys have not seen this, I highly recommend that you take a look at these demands. Number one is to defund the police and reallocate resources to impact communities. 2 is to demilitarize the police. 3 is to eliminate discriminatory policing, prosecution, and sentencing. 4 is to institute complete law enforcement transparency and accountability. 5 is independently investigate all police crimes and abuses of power. 6 is install community representation, oversight, and safety measures. 7 is to end strategic counter-protest violence. 8 is apologize and provide reparations. 9 is to end the war on drugs. And 10 is to end carceral punishment. And I highly suggest that you guys take a look at that. Because ultimately, what ends up happening is you need to have a system of public safety that is emphasis on the public and not on the protection of private property. The police that we have in this country are there to protect the interests of the corporate dictators. They're there to protect the interests of the predator class. That's why they're there. And if they're going to continuously do what they're doing to us on a massive scale, they're going to do it to you. These are the ones that are constantly being trained by the IDF that are doing what they're doing to us. If they're being trained by the IDF and you stand with what's going on with Palestinians, then you stand with what's going on with us as Black people too. Don't say you stand with the Palestinians and what they're going through, but then wave away what Black people talk about, what we're going through, and just say it's identity politics. Because being Palestinian is also an identity. But you don't wave that away as identity politics because you see what they're going through. Well, guess what? We're going through a lot too. And what we're going through is because of these goons that are being trained by the IDF. And this nation keeps a hierarchy. The hierarchy that they keep is to make some of us look worse. And they make things worse for us so that we appear worse, even though it's not true. So that some people will keep that mentality of white supremacy and racist thought in their heads and saying, well, see, this is what Black people do. When in reality, if you place any human in that position, they will commit crimes of lack of opportunity and out of desperation. This is why it's important to defund the police on the roads of abolition in order to remake public safety in the way that it should be. Safety for the public. But what do I know? I'm just a silly communist, right? And let me ask you this question. Why didn't I put up any mugshots of these gentlemen? Why did I use these photos? Because they're people. Because we're constantly being told that we're not people. We're constantly being labeled and lambasted as thugs, like someone in the chat said. We're not. And we never were. It's just a means of dehumanization. That's exactly what it is. And when you're trying to dehumanize people, well, you label them as something that gives you excuses to treat them in a worse way. That's ultimately what it is. That's ultimately what it's about. This is why we're calling people thugs. You're contributing to the dehumanizing of a people. So when that person said that they were a thug, you just contributed. You just took the side of the corporate dictators. You just took the side of the predator class. Congratulations. You did what the Zionists do to Palestinians. Congratulations. That's what you did. Okay. So that's what happened. So I would implore you to change your thoughts on that and to start siding with the rest of us who are marginalized so that they don't have to go through that as well. So with that being said, continue to do the best you can in speaking out against these injustices, what's happened to many of us. Shout out to all the members of RBN, because we constantly have to deal with this day in and day out. So thank you so very much for this. If you guys have not, go ahead and give the stream a like. That pushes us out into the algorithm. Thank you so very much. What can we do is we have to change the system from the ground up. And with that being said, I will also like to add, if you guys have not already, thank you so very much to all the patrons on Patreon. Without you guys, we would not be able to do this type of work. You guys make this very possible. I'd just like to thank you guys for all that you do, because without you guys, we would not be able to do this work on the ground. And so I just want to give a big shout out and thank you to every single one of you. You guys make this possible day in and day out. And, I just got to say that, it is a privilege to be able to do this type of work, to be able to inform and give, a Black perspective, especially on this system and how it is continuously, we are continuously, engaging in this class war. And so just a big thank you and shout out to all of you. Now, before I get going, let me go to the chat as well. You guys want to go to the Rockfin chat first, and then we'll get to the rest of the chat, and then we'll be on our way out. So thank you so very much to Lois. Says police still would do these atrocities when so many people suffer from mental illness, not being criminal, which is criminal. Police who go on the corruptness would charge after for littering. Yeah. And thank you so much, Anna Mayers. Says statistics, some clips hold around 15 rounds. Being poor is officially a crime now. Yeah. Thank you so very much for that. Let's go into the chat. We have a super chat coming in from Gritty Image Photography. Says Jaybe is one of the smoothest, calmest, persuasive, thoughtful, coherent, gentle, thought-provoking educators I've seen. I've missed your streams, bro. Thank you so very much. That means a lot. I very much appreciate it, because the thing is that it gets, it gets, it could be harrowing sometimes. Jay Bryson says 96 shots for a traffic stop. How does a shoot out with one person come out as a traffic stop? What range do they train on? It only takes experts and experience 1-2 rounds. Pathetic. I don't know. What are you talking about? You had me for a second, and then, yeah. I mean, ultimately, the police really had no reason to really stop him in the first place. Matt says, dude shot at cops 11 times. People who he didn't know that were cops. They didn't identify themselves. Like, did you guys not hear the first part of the story? I set it up for you. Unmarked car, plain clothes, jump out the car, don't identify themselves, have their guns drawn. What in the world do you think somebody would do? It's funny how a lot of y'all will defend somebody like George Zimmerman, and yet when we try to protect ourselves, then, oh my God, I can't believe you actually had the wherewithal to protect yourself. Wow, y'all. Man. A lot of y'all really are, Jesus. VHS Sandwich says, last month, a 15-year-old black teen who was having a mental health crisis was killed by police. He was armed with a garden tool. His name was Ryan Gaynor. Oh, I wanted to talk about him too. I forgot. Thank you so much for reminding me. Ryan Gaynor, yes. Absolutely horrible. They would shoot him. Yeah, that's another one. Thank you so much, VH Sandwich. JC said Brandon Johnson praying for the cops also includes him, ACAB. Never forget the self-proclaim as a socialist before winning an election. Yeah. "96 times, 1% excessive, but he shot that man 11 times." Again, like, you keep talking about that, but here's the crazy part. Number one, I mean, if you got a bunch of people surrounding you with their guns drawn and then they don't identify themselves as police and they pull up to you in an unmarked car, what would you do? Right? That's just like the people that gunned down Breonna Taylor and the boyfriend shot out. Yeah, of course he did. He was trying to protect themselves. He didn't know that was police. You sound like the people that are defending the cops that shot Breonna Taylor. Are you serious right now? Exactly, Randall Online. Even if they said police, they didn't look like it. And there are people that pretend to be cops out there. Yeah. So it's crazy. But yes, if you guys have not, go ahead and take a look at the 10 demands for justice. If you guys also have not, just let you guys know, we're also doing fundraiser for our graphics designer. If you guys would like to, you guys can go Venmo at Revolutionary Blackout and Cash App $Mutual Aid Forever. I am going to head on out because it is almost 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock, and we have some, unfortunately, because they're selling the property, we actually have people looking at the place, potential buyers, even though they're kicking us out. So that's fun. But anywho, I just want to thank you guys for tuning in, for, being with me for this stream and talking about this. This is why we got to change the system ultimately. And, join different groups, join different organizations so that you guys can also help and assist in changing this system for the better. Because those of us who are marginalized, we're really going through it. And we need everybody to team up together so that we can change it. So I just want to thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you to everybody on YouTube, Rockfin, Twitch, Rumble. And yeah, so did I forget anything? No. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for tuning in to the Jaybe Show. Stay tuned for later episodes for Nick and CJ, and then the Savvy and JB Show. Oh, and Savvy Stabs will be on my channel on Tuesday, so that should be fun. Take care, everybody. Have a good one.